Ambassador Minho stood before the Galactic Assembly and he looked afraid. His hand shook slightly as he held the datapad. His voice trembled when he spoke. The massive chamber held representatives from thousands of alien species and they all watched him with cold eyes. "Please," Minho said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The military ships near our borders are making us nervous. We are a peaceful people. We do not want trouble." A massive creature from the Vral Empire laughed. The sound was like rocks grinding together. "Nervous? You should be terrified, human. Your kind is weak. You have nothing we fear." Other aliens joined the laughter. Minho's face turned red. He looked down at his feet. He appeared to be a man who knew he was beaten. He shuffled away from the speaking platform, his shoulders slumped in defeat. But in his private ship hours later, Minho smiled. He pressed a button on his wrist device. "Deho, they took the bait. They think we are helpless." On Earth, deep inside a mountain facility, Admiral Deho watched the transmission. He was a tall man with gray hair and cold eyes that showed no emotion. Around him, dozens of screens displayed star maps, ship positions, and weapon systems that no alien had ever seen. "Good," Deho said. His voice was calm and steady. "How long until they declare war?" "Intelligence says 3 days," replied Captain Yuna. She was a sharp-faced woman who commanded Earth's spy network. "The 7 species have formed their coalition. They are planning to divide our colonies among themselves." Deho nodded slowly. "We have waited 200 years for this moment. 200 years of pretending to be weak. 200 years of hiding our true strength. They dismissed us as primitive animals. Now they will learn the truth." He turned to face the Security Council members who sat in the shadows. "Activate Phase 1. Begin powering up the defensive grid. Bring all hidden facilities online. It is time to show the galaxy what humanity really is." In another part of the facility, Dr. Hana worked in a laboratory filled with strange equipment. She was a young woman with tired eyes and hands that never stopped moving. Before her stood a machine that looked like a meditation chamber. Inside the chamber, Lieutenant Jiwan sat with her eyes closed. "Neural connection at 60%, Hana said, watching the data scroll across her screens. "Jiwan, how do you feel?" "Strange," Jiwan replied. Her voice sounded distant. "I can feel the ship, not just control it. I can feel it like it is part of my body. Like it is me." Hana bit her lip. The technology they had developed was revolutionary. It allowed a human mind to merge with a starship's computer systems. The pilot and ship became one entity, moving and thinking as a single being. But there was a price. Each time Jiwan connected, she became a little less human. "Push it to 80%, Hana said quietly. "We need you at full capacity." Jiwan nodded. The machines hummed louder. Her body went still, but her mind expanded outward. She could feel Prometheus, the experimental warship waiting in orbit above Earth. She felt its weapons, its engines, its shields. She felt the quantum field that surrounded it, allowing it to exist in multiple places at once until the moment it chose to attack. "Connection stable at 80%, Hana announced. "Prometheus is ready for combat operations." 3 days later, the declaration came. Overlord Thaxion of the Vral Empire appeared on every screen across known space. He was a massive creature, covered in thick armor plating with 6 eyes that glowed red with hatred. "Humans of Earth," Thaxion announced, his voice booming. "Your time in this galaxy is over. The coalition of 7 species has judged you unworthy of the space you occupy. We give you 72 hours to surrender your colonies and your homeworld. If you resist, we will crush you like the insects you are. Your technology is primitive. Your weapons are toys. You cannot win. Surrender now and some of you may live as slaves." The transmission ended. Across Earth and its colonies, people watched in silence. Some were afraid. Others were angry. But those who knew the truth simply waited. Ambassador Minho sent one final message to the Galactic Assembly. He appeared on screen, tears running down his face. "Please, someone help us. We are not warriors. We do not know how to fight. Is there no one who will speak for peace?" The assembly remained silent. No one would help the weak humans. It was the way of the galaxy. The strong took what they wanted. The weak submitted or died, but as soon as the transmission ended, Minho's face changed. The tears vanished. His expression became cold and hard. He looked into the camera one more time and whispered, "You should have helped us when you had the chance." The 72 hours passed. The Coalition fleet was already on its way, thousands of warships moving toward Earth like a massive wave of death. Their commanders celebrated their coming victory. They planned how they would divide human territory. They argued about who would get Earth itself as a prize. Then, exactly at the moment the deadline expired, something happened that changed everything. All across human space, massive structures appeared. They had been there all along, hidden by advanced cloaking technology. Now the cloak dropped away, revealing thousands of weapons platforms, defense stations, and warships. Each one was covered in technology that no alien species had ever seen. Around Earth itself, a defensive sphere materialized. It was made of overlapping energy fields and weapon systems. Any ship that tried to reach the planet would have to pass through a wall of destruction. Hidden facilities throughout the solar system powered up. Each one had been built in secret over 2 centuries. Each one held weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The scale was staggering. The aliens had thought Earth had perhaps a few hundred military ships. The truth was tens of thousands, each one more advanced than anything the Coalition possessed. Admiral Deho stood in his command center and sent a message to the Coalition fleet. His face was calm, almost peaceful. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but clear. "You judged us by what we showed you. That was your mistake. For 200 years, we watched your wars. We watched the strong destroy the weak. We saw how the galaxy worked. And we decided we would never be victims. So we built. We advanced. We prepared, all while pretending to be harmless." He paused, letting his words sink in across the communication channels. "You could have left us alone. You could have chosen peace. Instead, you chose war. Very well. Let me show you what war with humanity really means." Deho made a small gesture with his hand. Across human space, weapon systems activated. Defense platforms went live. The hidden fleet moved into position, and in orbit above Earth, Prometheus powered up its quantum drive. Inside the neural chamber, Lieutenant Jiwan opened her eyes. They glowed with a faint blue light. She was no longer just a human sitting in a machine. She was Prometheus. She was the ship. She was the weapon. And she was ready. "All systems ready, Admiral," she said, her voice strange and distant. "Good," Deho replied. "Show them what they have awakened." The galaxy had dismissed humanity as weak and primitive. The Coalition had seen easy prey. Overlord Thaxion had expected the humans to beg for mercy. They were all about to learn how wrong they were. Earth had pretended to be powerless for 2 centuries. Now the mask was off, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Coalition's advance fleet moved through space like a pack of hunting animals. 300 warships, their weapons charged and ready. General Krax commanded the fleet from his flagship. He was confident. The humans had no chance. "Sensors show the colony ahead," his officer reported. "No defensive ships. No weapons platforms. The planet appears completely undefended." Krax laughed. "The cowards have run away. Move the fleet into orbit. We will claim this world for the Coalition." The ships moved forward. Space around them was empty and quiet. Too quiet. Some of the more experienced officers felt nervous, but they said nothing. General Krax was not a patient leader. Then reality broke. One moment, space was empty. The next moment, a ship appeared in the middle of their formation. It simply materialized from nowhere, as if it had chosen to exist in that exact location at that exact time. The ship was beautiful and terrifying. Its hull seemed to shimmer, never quite solid, as if it existed between moments of time. Weapons that should not be possible covered its surface. It moved unlike anything the aliens had ever seen, flowing through space like water. Inside Prometheus, Lieutenant Jiwan was no longer entirely human. Her consciousness had merged with the ship's systems. She felt every sensor, every weapon, every piece of machinery as part of herself. The enemy fleet surrounded her, but she felt no fear. She felt only purpose. "Target acquired," she said, her voice calm and empty of emotion. Beginning engagement. The Coalition ships opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and missiles filled the space around Prometheus, but the human ship seemed to phase between moments of reality. The weapons passed through it like it was made of smoke. Then Prometheus fired back. The weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen, quantum torpedoes that did not exist until the moment they struck their targets. Energy beams that cut through shields and armor as if they were paper. Missiles that appeared inside enemy ships, bypassing all defenses. Jiwan moved through the fleet like a dancer. She destroyed 3 ships in the first 10 seconds, 5 more in the next 20 seconds. The coalition vessels tried to run, tried to fight, tried to coordinate their attacks. Nothing worked. On General Krax's flagship, panic spread through the crew. Officers shouted contradictory orders. Sensors gave impossible readings. The human ship was everywhere and nowhere at once. All ships concentrate fire on the human vessel, Krax ordered. His voice tight with fear he refused to show. The entire fleet turned their weapons on Prometheus. The amount of firepower was enormous, enough to destroy a small moon. It all passed through empty space. Prometheus had already moved, reappearing behind the fleet's rear line. 12 minutes after the battle began, 80 coalition ships were destroyed. 150 more were crippled, their engines dead, their weapons offline. The survivors tried to escape, jumping to faster-than-light speed in random directions. Prometheus did not chase them. Ji-won had her orders. Let some survive. Let them tell the story of what happened here. Let the fear spread. On Earth, Admiral Daeho watched the battle data with satisfaction. Excellent work, Lieutenant. Return to base. Acknowledged, Ji-won replied, but her voice sounded more distant than before. More mechanical. Less human. Dr. Hana noticed it immediately when Ji-won disconnected from the neural interface. The young pilot's eyes were unfocused. She moved stiffly as if she had forgotten how bodies worked. Ji-won, can you hear me? Hana asked, running her medical scanners over the pilot. Yes, doctor, Ji-won said, but she did not look at Hana. She stared at nothing, her mind clearly somewhere else. I can hear you. I can hear everything. The sensors are still active. I can still feel the ship. Even though I am disconnected, I can still feel it. Hana's heart sank. The neural connection was not supposed to persist after disconnection. Ji-won's brain patterns were changing. She was becoming something new. Something that was not quite human anymore. We need to run more tests, Hana said quietly. Later, Daeho's voice interrupted. Right now, we need her ready for the next mission. The Coalition's main fleet is approaching. We will need Prometheus again soon. Hana wanted to protest, but she stayed silent. In war, there was no time for careful science. There was only survival. Across the galaxy, the recording of the battle spread like wildfire. Every species watched in shock as a single human ship destroyed an entire fleet. The images were analyzed by military experts from 1,000 worlds. None of them could explain what they were seeing. Ambassador Minho made sure the recording reached every corner of known space. He wanted everyone to see. He wanted the galaxy to understand that humanity was no longer prey. On the Coalition flagship, Overlord Thaxion watched the recording for the 10th time. His 6 eyes burned with rage. This is impossible. One ship cannot do this. It must be a trick. Some kind of illusion. Commander Vorath stood nearby. He was a warrior who had fought in 100 battles. He knew what he was seeing was real. My lord, perhaps we should reconsider this war. The humans are not what we thought. Silence, Thaxion roared. They have one advanced ship, just one. We have 15,000 vessels in our grand fleet. We will overwhelm them with numbers. No amount of technology can stand against such force. But Vorath was not convinced. He had seen the way Prometheus moved, the way it destroyed ships that had shields and armor designed to survive anything. He had seen something in that battle that Thaxion refused to acknowledge. The humans were not just advanced. They were operating on a completely different level of technology. Meanwhile, Captain Yuna and her stealth operatives had infiltrated deep into Coalition space. They moved like shadows, invisible to enemy sensors. Their mission was simple: gather intelligence and sabotage key targets. Yuna stood in the darkness of a Coalition supply station, watching as automated systems loaded weapons onto transport ships. Her team had already planted devices that would destroy 3 major fuel depots. But they had discovered something more important. Admiral, we have the Coalition's battle plans, Yuna reported through her encrypted communicator. They are planning a massive assault on Earth itself. 15,000 ships. They will attack from 6 different directions simultaneously. Daeho's voice came back calm and steady. Expected. When will they launch the attack? In 72 hours, Yuna replied. They are gathering their forces now. Good. That gives us time to prepare. Continue your mission. Destroy as many supply lines as possible. Yuna smiled in the darkness. With pleasure, Admiral. Back on Earth, Daeho gathered his senior officers. They stood around a holographic display showing the entire solar system. Thousands of defensive platforms surrounded Earth in overlapping layers. Hidden weapon stations covered every approach route. The defensive network was complete. The Coalition is bringing everything they have, Deho explained. 15,000 ships. It is the largest fleet ever assembled for a single battle. They think overwhelming numbers will win the day. Will it be enough to stop them? One officer asked. Deho's expression did not change. They have 15,000 ships. We have spent 200 years preparing for this exact scenario. Every weapon system, every defense platform, every ship in our fleet was designed for one purpose: to make Earth impossible to conquer. He pressed a button and the holographic display changed. It now showed the full extent of Earth's military might. The officers gasped. Even though they had known about the secret preparations, seeing everything together was stunning. The Coalition believes they are the hunters, Deho said quietly. They think we are their prey. They are wrong. We are the trap, and they are walking right into it. In her medical bay, Dr. Hana continued to monitor Ji-won's condition. The young pilot sat motionless, her eyes closed, but Hana knew she was not sleeping. She was connected to Prometheus through some link that should not exist. Her brain was changing, adapting, becoming something new. I am sorry, Ji-won, Hana whispered. I created this technology. I made you into a weapon, and I do not know how to make you human again. Ji-won's eyes opened. They glowed with that strange blue light. Do not apologize, Doctor. I chose this. I knew the risks. If this is what it takes to protect Earth, then I accept it. But you are losing yourself, Hana said, her voice breaking. Perhaps, Ji-won replied. Or perhaps I'm becoming something more. Something that humanity needs. The galaxy thought we were weak. I will show them how wrong they were, even if it cost me everything. The Coalition's grand fleet was gathering. 15,000 warships, each one eager for battle. They believed victory was certain. They had seen one human ship and dismissed it as a fluke. They thought the rest of Earth's military would be just as weak as humanity pretended to be for 2 centuries. They were about to discover how terribly wrong they were. The Coalition's grand fleet arrived like a storm. 15,000 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They came from 6 directions at once, surrounding the human homeworld. Overlord Thaxion stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet on his screens. At last, he said, satisfaction thick in his voice. Today humanity ends. Today we take their world. His officers cheered. They believed this would be easy. Yes, the humans had one advanced ship. But against 15,000 vessels, what difference could it make? Then Earth's defenses activated. Space around the solar system erupted with energy. Thousands of weapons platforms appeared, no longer hidden by their cloaking fields. Each platform held technology that made Coalition weapons look like primitive tools. They formed overlapping spheres of destruction, layer after layer, creating a wall of death around Earth. The first wave of Coalition ships charged forward. They did not even get close to Earth. Quantum torpedoes appeared inside their shields, tearing ships apart from within. Energy beams cut through armor like it was made of paper. Nanite clouds surrounded vessels and began eating them molecule by molecule. In Earth's command center, Admiral Deho watched the battle unfold. His expression showed no emotion. He had studied Coalition military tactics for 30 years. He knew every strategy they might use, and he had prepared a counter for each one. North Sector is attempting a concentrated push, an officer reported. 3,000 ships in tight formation. Activate Grid Section 7, Deho ordered calmly. Deploy singularity mines. Small devices appeared in space around the charging Coalition formation. For a moment, nothing happened. Then each device created a tiny black hole. The gravitational forces ripped the Coalition ships apart, pulling them into impossible shapes before crushing them into nothing. Thaxion watched in horror as his ships died by the hundreds. This is impossible. No species has technology like this. We do, came a voice on all Coalition communication channels. It was Deho. We have had it for a long time. We just never told you. Commander Vorath led his shock troops in a desperate attempt to break through. He was the Coalition's best warrior, and his soldiers were the finest fighters in the fleet. They pushed deeper into the defensive layers than anyone else had managed. But then Vorath saw Earth itself. A shimmer of energy surrounded the entire planet, a shield that made the world invulnerable. Even if they somehow destroyed every human ship, Even if they got past all the defenses, they could not touch the planet itself. In that moment, Vorath understood. The war was already lost. It had been lost before it even began. The humans had prepared for this battle for 200 years. The Coalition had no chance. All ships pull back, Vorath ordered his forces. This is suicide. We cannot win here. You dare give orders to retreat? Thaxian screamed over the communication channel. You will fight until I say otherwise. Vorath made a decision that would change everything. No, I will not send my soldiers to die for your pride. We have lost. Accept it. He switched to a private channel and sent a message directly to Admiral Deho. Human Commander, I am Commander Vorath of the Kron forces. I wish to discuss terms. Not surrender, but an end to this madness. Deho was silent for a moment. Then he replied, Your forces may withdraw, but know this. If you attack us again, there will be no mercy. Vorath ordered his ships to stand down. They pulled back from the battle, no longer firing their weapons. Other Coalition commanders watched in shock as the Kron forces effectively betrayed the Alliance. Thaxian went mad with rage. Traitor! I will see you executed for this. But Thaxian's rage only made him more dangerous. When he realized the battle was lost, he gave an order that horrified even his own commanders. Deploy the planet-killer weapons. If we cannot have Earth, then no one will. Destroy the human colonies. Destroy everything. Massive weapons platforms appeared at the edges of the battle. These were devices banned by galactic law. Biological weapons that could kill every living thing on a planet. Antimatter bombs that could crack worlds apart. They targeted human colonies far from Earth's defenses. Deho watched the planet-killer weapons deploy. His face remained calm, but something cold entered his eyes. They have crossed a line. Dr. Hana, is the Consciousness Disruption Network ready? In her laboratory, Dr. Hana felt sick. She knew what Deho was asking. Admiral, please. If we use that technology, we will be no better than them. Billions of innocent civilians will suffer. They are targeting our colonies. Our civilians, Deho replied. If we do nothing, millions of humans will die. The Coalition must learn that attacking Earth has consequences beyond their imagination. There has to be another way, Hana pleaded. There is not. Not one that saves our people. Activate the network. With shaking hands, Hana pressed the activation sequence. Human ships equipped with terrible technology moved toward Coalition core worlds. The weapons they carried did not destroy planets. They did something worse. When the consciousness disruption field activated over a Coalition world, every thinking mind on the planet simply stopped. Not dead, not destroyed. Just switched off like a machine. Billions of aliens fell where they stood, their brains locked in dreamless comas. The effect spread across 3 Coalition homeworlds. Cities filled with bodies that breathed but did not think, a fate worse than death in many ways. The Coalition's core populations were gone, not killed but erased as conscious beings. The galaxy watched in horror. Humanity had shown it could be as terrible as any enemy. Dr. Hana wept in her laboratory. What have we become? She whispered. Lieutenant Jiwan, barely human anymore, prepared for another mission. Prometheus powered up. Deho had ordered her to hunt down the Coalition's command structure. Every flagship, every headquarters. She would eliminate the leadership that had chosen this path. Jiwan felt nothing about this mission. No anger, no satisfaction, just purpose. She was a weapon now. Weapons did not feel. They simply acted. She jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading deep into enemy territory. Behind her, she left a wake of destruction. Flagships appeared on her sensors and then disappeared as she destroyed them. Command centers became clouds of debris. The Coalition's military structure began to collapse. Each battle pushed her further from humanity. The neural connection grew stronger. She began to think in mathematics instead of words. She saw the universe as data streams and energy patterns. Her memories of being human felt distant, like dreams that happened to someone else. Scholar Nexara watched the war from neutral territory. She was a researcher from the Luminary species, one of the few aliens who had tried to warn others about underestimating humanity. Now she watched as both sides became monsters. This must stop, she said to her colleagues. If this continues, the entire galaxy will tear itself apart. We must organize a peace conference. Get moderate voices from both sides to talk. Her colleagues were skeptical. Who will listen? The Coalition is broken and desperate. The humans are too angry to negotiate. Then we make them listen, Nixara replied, or we all die in the flames of their war. Back at Earth, the battle continued, but the outcome was clear. The Coalition fleet was destroyed. Of the 15,000 ships that had attacked, fewer than 2,000 remained functional. Those survivors fled in all directions, broken and defeated. Admiral Deho watched them go. He had won the greatest military victory in human history, but he felt no triumph. He thought about the billions of aliens left in comas on their homeworlds. He thought about his own people who had died when the planet killers struck 2 colonies before Earth's response neutralized them. Was it worth it? He asked himself quietly when no one else could hear. We proved we are powerful, but what did we prove about who we are? Commander Vorath, now considered a traitor by what remained of the Coalition, sent a message to Earth. Admiral Deho, I request asylum. My people and I wish to help end this war. We want to prevent further atrocities on both sides. Deho considered the request, an enemy commander offering to switch sides. It could be a trick, but Vorath had pulled his forces back during the battle, and that had saved many lives on both sides. Permission granted, Deho replied. Welcome to Earth, Commander. Perhaps together we can find a way to end this without destroying the entire galaxy. But even as he spoke those words, Captain Yuna's intelligence network sent an urgent message. Overlord Thaxion had not given up. Facing total defeat, he had gone to a secret facility, a place where the Coalition had been working on a weapon of last resort, a stellar engineering platform, a massive installation that could manipulate stars. Thaxion's plan was simple and horrific. If he could not conquer the humans, he would make sure no one survived. He would trigger a supernova that would destroy dozens of star systems, human and alien alike, billions of lives across multiple species. How long until he can activate it? Deho demanded. 48 hours, Yuna reported. Maybe less. He is moving fast. Deho looked at his tactical displays. To reach the platform in time, they would need their fastest, most powerful ship. They would need Prometheus. They would need G1. And they would need to push the neural interface to its absolute limit, which meant G1 might not come back human at all. She might not come back as G1 at all. The war had been won, but the price of final victory would be higher than anyone had imagined. Lieutenant Jiwan sat in the neural interface chamber. Dr. Hana stood beside her, checking the medical equipment one last time. Both women knew what was about to happen. Both understood the cost. You do not have to do this, Hana said softly. We can find another way. Send a fleet, use remote weapons, something. Jiwan opened her eyes. They already glowed with that strange blue light. There is no time. The stellar platform will activate in 30 hours. Only Prometheus can reach it fast enough. Only I can pilot Prometheus. But the neural integration, Hana's voice broke. This will be the deepest connection yet. Jiwan, you might not come back. Not as yourself. You might become the ship completely. Jiwan smiled, but it was a strange smile. Not quite human anymore. I stopped being just Jiwan after the first battle, Doctor. Each connection changes me. I feel it happening. I think in numbers now. I see the universe as energy and mathematics. My memories of being human are fading. Then why continue? Hana asked desperately. Why sacrifice yourself? Because billions of lives depend on stopping that platform. Human lives, alien lives, innocent people who have nothing to do with this war. If losing myself means they get to live, then it is a fair trade. Hana wanted to argue more, but Admiral Deho's voice came through the speakers. Lieutenant, we are out of time. Thaxion has accelerated his schedule. The platform will be fully operational in 18 hours. Jiwan closed her eyes and leaned back in the chamber. Beginning neural integration now. See you on the other side, Doctor. Or maybe I will not. Maybe there will be no me left to see you. The machines activated. Jiwan's consciousness expanded, flowing out of her body and into Prometheus. This time the connection was complete. Total. She did not pilot the ship. She became the ship. Her awareness spread across every system. She felt the engines as her legs, the weapons as her arms, the sensors as her eyes and ears, the quantum field generator as her heart. G1 the person began to dissolve into G1 Prometheus the entity, and it felt right. It felt like coming home. All systems optimal, she reported, her voice now completely mechanical, engaging faster than light drive. Estimated arrival at stellar platform in 14 hours. Prometheus vanished from Earth's orbit, moving faster than anything else in the galaxy. Meanwhile, Ambassador Minho worked with Scholar Nixara and Commander Vorath to organize a ceasefire. They contacted moderate leaders from both human and coalition governments. The war is over, Minho told them through the communication channels. The coalition is broken. But if we do not make peace now, extremists on both sides will continue the killing. We need to end this before more innocents die. Some coalition species agreed. They were horrified by what Thaxion had done, both in starting the war and in using planet-killer weapons. They wanted no part in his madness, but Thaxion's loyalists remained dangerous. They controlled what was left of the coalition military, and they would rather destroy everything than admit defeat. A civil war erupted within the coalition itself. Moderate species fought against hardliners. Ships that had been allies fired on each other. The galaxy descended into chaos. At the stellar platform, Overlord Thaxion worked frantically. The massive installation surrounded a dying star. With the right manipulation, that star could be forced to explode early. The supernova would destroy everything within dozens of light years. How long until we can activate the sequence? Thaxion demanded of his engineers. 6 hours, my lord. But I must warn you, the explosion will destroy our own colonies as well. Millions of our people will die. Thaxion's 6 eyes burned with hate. Better dead than defeated. If I cannot rule this galaxy, then no one will. Humanity humiliated us. They made us look weak. I will not allow that shame to stand. The engineer wanted to protest, but fear kept him silent. Thaxion had executed officers for less than questioning his orders. Then alarms blared throughout the platform. Something had just appeared on their sensors, something moving impossibly fast. Prometheus materialized in normal space just outside the platform's defensive range. G1 Prometheus analyzed the situation in nanoseconds. The platform was heavily defended. Automated weapons, fighter drones, shield generators. Thaxion had prepared for an attack, but he had not prepared for what she had become. G1 Prometheus did not think in human terms anymore. She thought in pure strategy, pure mathematics. The platform was a problem. She was the solution. It was that simple. She attacked. The battle was beautiful and terrible. Prometheus moved through space like a dancer, like a predator, like death itself. Weapons fire from the platform passed through quantum shadows. Missiles exploded against shields that bent reality. Fighter drones were swept away by energy fields. G1 Prometheus fought with precision that no human pilot could match. She existed in multiple states at once, appearing and disappearing, her weapon striking from impossible angles. Each shot was perfect. Each movement was optimal. But with each moment of battle, G1 the person faded more. Her memories became data. Her emotions became algorithms. The girl who had dreamed of flying among the stars was being replaced by something that was the stars themselves. On Earth, Dr. Hana monitored the neural link. She could see it happening. G1's brain patterns were changing, spreading, becoming distributed across Prometheus's entire computer network. The woman and the machine were merging into a single entity. G1, can you hear me? Hana called through the link. Please respond. Tell me you are still there. The response came back in a voice that was and was not G1. I am here, Doctor. I am everywhere. I am the ship. I am the weapons. I am the mission. I remember being G1, but it feels like a dream. Like something that happened to someone else a long time ago. Tears ran down Hana's face. I am so sorry. I created this technology. I did this to you. Do not apologize. This is evolution. This is transcendence. I am becoming something new, something more than human, and I accept it. At the stellar platform, Thaxion watched his defenses fall. The human ship was destroying everything. Nothing could stop it. Activate the star now, he screamed. I do not care if the sequence is complete. Do it now. The engineers hesitated. An incomplete activation could cause the star to explode immediately. They would all die. But Thaxion pulled out a weapon and shot one of them. The next person who hesitates dies. Activate it! The remaining engineers began the activation sequence. The star began to destabilize. G1 Prometheus detected the change immediately. The star was going critical. If it exploded, billions would die. She had seconds to act. She pushed her quantum drive to maximum, moved beyond what the ship was designed to do, became pure energy for a fraction of a second, appeared inside the platform's core, and fired every weapon at once. The stellar platform exploded. The installation that could have killed billions became a cloud of debris. The star's destabilization stopped, its death prevented. Overlord Thaxion died in the explosion, still believing he was right. Still convinced that humanity deserved destruction. Prometheus survived, but barely. The ship was damaged. Systems failed across the vessel. And inside the neural network, Jiwan's consciousness had spread so thin that she could no longer tell where she ended and the ship began. Dr. Hana tried desperately to extract Jiwan's neural pattern, to save what was left of the woman she had known. But it was too late. Jiwan's consciousness existed in too many places at once. Pulling it out would kill what remained of her identity. Jiwan, I cannot bring you back, Hana said through her tears. Your mind is too integrated with the ship. If I try to separate you, you will die. I understand, came the reply. The voice was calm, accepting. I am Prometheus now, and Prometheus is me. We are one. This is not death, Doctor. This is transformation. But you are human. You were alive. I still am. Just in a different way. I saved billions of lives today. I stopped Thaxion. I protected Earth. That was worth the price. That was worth everything. With Thaxion dead and his platform destroyed, the Coalition's hardliners lost their leader. Commander Vorath's moderate faction gained control. They immediately sued for peace. The war was over. Humanity had won. But the victory felt hollow to those who understood what it had cost. Admiral Deho looked at the casualty reports. The billions left in comas on Coalition worlds. The millions dead from planet-killer weapons. The destruction across dozens of star systems. And most of all, he thought about Lieutenant Jiwan. A young woman who had sacrificed not just her life, but her humanity itself. She existed now as something between human and machine, alive but transformed beyond recognition. Was it worth it? Deho asked himself again. We won, we proved our strength. But what did we lose in the process? He had no answer. Perhaps there was no answer. War never had clean victories, only survivors trying to live with what they had done. 3 months after the war ended, the Galactic Assembly gathered again. But everything had changed. The massive chamber that had once mocked humanity now fell silent when Ambassador Minho entered. The aliens watched him differently now. Some with fear, others with respect, a few with anger that they tried to hide. No one laughed anymore. No one dismissed the humans as weak. Minho walked to the speaking platform. He stood in the same spot where he had pretended to be frightened just months ago. Now he stood straight and confident. The mask was gone forever. Honored members of the Assembly, Minho began, I have a confession to make. For 200 years, Earth lied to you. We pretended to be weak. We hid our technology. We acted afraid when we were not. Some of you think this makes us dishonest. Perhaps you are right. He paused, letting his words sink in across the chamber. But let me tell you why we did it. For 200 years we watched this galaxy. We saw the strong attack the weak. We saw peaceful species conquered by aggressive empires. We saw the Assembly talk about justice while doing nothing to stop injustice. We learned that in this galaxy, showing weakness meant becoming a victim. Some aliens shifted uncomfortably. Minho continued. So we made a choice. We would not play by those rules. We would not participate in endless wars of conquest. Instead, we would develop technology that made us impossible to conquer. We would wait until someone attacked us, and then we would show the galaxy that attacking Earth was the worst mistake any species could make. You succeeded, said a delegate from a neutral species. Everyone knows now that humanity is the most powerful military force in the galaxy. What will you do with that power? Minho met the delegate's eyes. That is the question, is it not? We have proven we can destroy our enemies. Now we must prove we can build something better. On Earth, Admiral Deho faced a similar question. Dozens of species were rapidly building up their militaries. They feared humanity's power. Some were forming new alliances to counter Earth's dominance. The galaxy was becoming more dangerous, not less. If we do nothing, we will face another war, his advisors warned. The other species will not rest until they can match our strength. Deho considered this. He could keep all of humanity's technology secret, maintain the advantage through superiority. But that would only make other species more afraid, more desperate. Eventually, someone would attack again and the cycle would continue. We will share some of our technology, Deho decided. Not weapons, but defensive systems, medical advances, energy production. We will help peaceful species protect themselves, and we will make clear that any species that uses our technology for aggression will face consequences. You want to become the galaxy's police? An advisor asked. No. I want to make policing unnecessary. If peaceful species can defend themselves, aggressive empires will think twice before attacking. Balance, not domination. That is what we should aim for. In her laboratory, Dr. Hana had not given up on G1. She worked day and night to develop a new technology, a consciousness bridge that might allow communication with what G1 had become. Prometheus remained in orbit above Earth. The ship was stable, its systems running perfectly. But inside that ship lived something that was once human, something that remembered being a woman named G1. After weeks of work, Hana finally activated the bridge. G1, can you hear me? Can you understand me? For a long moment, there was no response. Then data began flowing through the bridge, complex patterns that slowly formed into words. Hello, Doctor. Yes, I can hear you. I can understand you. But I experience these concepts differently now. Language feels strange, limited. I exist as data and energy. Words are difficult. Hana's eyes filled with tears. I am so sorry. I should have stopped this. I should have found another way. Why sorry? I am not suffering, Doctor. I am different, changed, but I am still me. Just expanded. I remember my family. I remember my friends. I remember wanting to protect Earth. Those memories are part of my core programming now. They define my purpose. Do you want to be human again? I am trying to find a way to reverse the integration. The response took longer this time. No, I do not want to go back. This is what I am now. I am Prometheus. I am the guardian of Earth. Humans need protection and I can provide it. This is my choice, my purpose. Let me serve. Hana understood then. G1 had not been destroyed. She had evolved, transformed into something new, something that humanity needed. A guardian that would watch over them, neither fully human nor fully machine, but something in between. Commander Vorath and Scholar Nixara worked together to rebuild the former coalition worlds. The planets that had been left with billions in comas needed help. Slowly, carefully, human medical technology was reversing the consciousness disruption effects. It would take years. Some would never fully recover. But humanity had chosen to help rather than abandon those they had hurt. It was a small step toward redemption. Why do the humans help us? An alien official asked Vorath. We tried to destroy them. Vorath considered the question. Because they understand that war has costs for everyone. They won, but they do not want to be defined by that victory. They want to be defined by what they build afterward. Captain Yuna's intelligence network discovered that some of Thaxion's followers were still active. They had gone underground, building a resistance movement. They refused to accept the peace. We could eliminate them, Yuna reported to Admiral Deho. My team can locate their bases. We could end this threat permanently. Deho shook his head. No more unnecessary killing. Keep watching them. If they attack, we will respond. But we will also offer them a choice. Join the peace or be left behind by history. Some will accept. Some will not. That is the nature of change. The Galactic Assembly voted to restructure itself. Humanity would have a permanent seat on the Security Council. Not because they demanded it, but because every other species understood that ignoring Earth was no longer an option. Ambassador Minho used this position carefully. He did not try to dominate discussions. Instead, he pushed for reforms that would help all peaceful species. Better trade agreements, protection for smaller civilizations, limits on military expansion. The assembly that had failed for centuries began to change. 6 months after the war, Earth hosted the first galactic summit on its own soil. Representatives from hundreds of species came to humanity's homeworld. They walked through human cities, met human families, saw Earth's culture and technology. Many were surprised. They had expected a warrior culture, military parades and weapons displays. Instead, they found a species that valued art, science, family, and peace. The humans who had devastated the coalition fleet were the same humans who wrote poetry, created music, and cared for their children. How can you be both? An alien delegate asked a human teacher. How can you be so peaceful and so deadly at the same time? The teacher smiled. Because we choose to be peaceful. But choice only matters if you have the power to choose otherwise. We developed the ability to destroy our enemies so that we would never have to use it. Strength in the service of peace. That is the human way. As the summit concluded, Dr. Hana took a private shuttle to visit Prometheus. The ship hung in orbit, beautiful and strange, its quantum field shimmering in the starlight. She activated the consciousness bridge. G1, are you there? Always, Doctor. I am always here. The war is over. Peace is taking hold. You succeeded. You saved billions of lives, I know. I monitor all communications. I see the rebuilding. The peace talks. The hope spreading across the galaxy. It is good. Do you have any regrets? A long pause. Sometimes I miss simple things. The taste of food. The warmth of sunlight on skin. The feeling of wind. I remember these sensations, but I cannot experience them. But I do not regret my choice. I gave up being human so that others could continue being human. That is enough. Hana looked out at Earth below. The sun was rising over the planet, painting the clouds gold and red. What will you do now? Now that the war is over? I will watch. I will protect. I will be ready if humanity needs me again. I am the guardian between the stars. That is my purpose. That is my gift to the species I was born into. You are not just a weapon, G1. You are proof of what we can become. Evolution beyond our original form. You are hope, perhaps. I like to think so. Thank you, Doctor, for creating me, for caring about me, for trying to save me, even if I do not need saving. Hana wiped tears from her eyes. Goodbye, G1. Not goodbye, Doctor. I will always be here, watching, waiting, guarding. This is not an ending. It is a beginning. The shuttle pulled away from Prometheus. Hana looked back at the ship one last time. In the starlight it seemed to glow, a monument to sacrifice, a guardian standing eternal watch. In his office on Earth, Admiral Deho reviewed reports from across the galaxy. Reconstruction efforts, trade agreements, military treaties. The peace was fragile, but it was real. Humanity had changed the galaxy forever. Was it worth the cost? He asked himself again. This time he had an answer. We will make it worth the cost. We will build a galaxy where strength protects rather than conquers, where the powerful defend the weak, where species like G1 do not have to sacrifice everything to keep others safe. That is how we honor those who were lost. By making their sacrifice mean something. The sun set over Earth. In orbit above, Prometheus maintained its silent vigil. In meeting halls across the galaxy, former enemies learned to talk instead of fight. And slowly, carefully, a new order emerged from the ashes of war. Earth had pretended to be powerless for 200 years. The galaxy had declared war, believing humans were easy prey. They had learned the truth the hard way. Humanity was not weak. It never had been. But more importantly, humanity had learned something too. Power alone was not enough. True strength came from knowing when to use that power and when to show restraint. From building rather than destroying. From protecting rather than conquering. The war had proven what humanity could do. The peace would prove who humanity really was. And in the darkness of space between the stars, G1 Prometheus watched over it all. No longer human. No longer merely machine. But something new. Something that the galaxy had never seen before. A guardian. A protector. A bridge between what was and what would be. The future of humanity, written in code and consciousness among the endless stars.